Alright guys, today we have a 42RLE out of a 2004 Jeep Liberty, and just to let you know, the reason why we got this in is because of code 740, which is like a torque converter slip code, mechanical code, and it also had a 218, which is transmission over temp. And usually those two go together. You know, you have a very bad slipping converter, it's going to heat the unit up. And that's probably the reason for the 218. I already have a teardown video on this, but I wanted to share with you guys a new tool I got to get this intermediate shaft off. Now these of course are only on the 4-wheel drives, and you got to get the shaft off to get this nut out in the back to get the rear planet out. So the tool I got here, this is also threaded back here, and the tool I got here is from Adaptacase, and it's made to get this shaft out, because without the tool you can spend a lot of time trying to get this out, waste a lot of time. Before I had this tool, sometimes it would take me honestly maybe half an hour, 40 minutes trying to find something to thread in here, then using a slide hammer, taking a couple of screwdrivers, prying it, you know, smashing it up and down, trying to get it to center, because there is a ring in here that holds this on. So what I'll do is I'll get a little closer, I'll show you this tool, and I modified it a little bit, and I want to just show you what I did. And then we'll hook everything up, and you'll see how easy this thing comes off. I actually had it off already, and I put it back on again, but you'll see how easy it comes off when everything is you know, centered and you got the right tools to use. So let me get a little closer, and we'll hook it up. Alright, so here is the tool. So we're going to take this back end out. This is where the slide hammer goes into. Okay, and this is the bolt that is going to thread into the shaft itself. Okay, so we'll put that through, we'll start it. And this shaft that you have to get out, of course, connects the transmission to the transfer case. You know, again, only found on 4-wheel drives. That's a Allen key head, so we're going to tighten this up. Okay. All right, so we modified this a little bit to take a larger slide hammer, because sometimes I struggle so much. This one actually comes off very easy. But we used to struggle so much to try to get these things out. Like I said, minimum like a half an hour trying to get this thing out. So when you buy the tool from Adaptacase, it's gonna take this thread size for the slide hammer to get the shaft out. But what we did was we found a nut to match this slide hammer. This is, you know, much larger. And I had a machine shop weld it on here. Did a real nice job. So we'll put this end on. Okay, and then we'll hook the slide hammer up. And this will only go into pretty much like the length of the nut that we had welded on here. All right, so now we're just going to give it a shot. And this thing comes right off. I'm telling you, when you got the right tools, it makes life a lot easier. All right, here is, I don't know if you guys can see this. Maybe I can take this thing off. That's the ring that holds this on. Actually, a new one comes in the kit. Okay, this is the ring here. A lot of times this ring will get caught and it'll break up. You won't be able to get this thing out. So that tool is a pretty good tool. Again, made by Adaptacase. It certainly serves its purpose. I'm just unscrewing the slide hammer here. Alright, so we're going to take this apart again here. Okay. I actually bought this through my supply, which is TransStar, but they do have a website. But if you guys are working on this thing, this is a great tool. So I would definitely look into that. All right, so we got this intermediate shaft off, and one other thing that I did want to mention, I don't know if I had mentioned this before in the teardown video, but I'm going to pull the front pump out and disassemble the front pump, because what I do when I do these usually is swap out the body and gears with a 604 body and gears, because it would give much more volume. So let me just pull this pump out. And I can show you the difference between the two. Alright, so now we're going to use this slide hammer. These usually come with some threaded holes. Alright, let me get actually a socket to open this pump up. Okay, so stator is going to get reused again. Alright, so here is the pump gears, and these are the gerotor style gears. Alright, so what I like to do is I found this 604 body and gears, and of course these gears here, you know, you can see are much more thicker. So we're certainly going to get a better volume of oil when you use the 604 pump. It's pretty much the same. It'll work with this stator, work with the 604 converter. You just got to make sure, you know, the flats are the same, which they usually are. That's usually not an issue because I do this on all of them. And I replaced the pump. Well, when I say pump, I mean body and gears. Again, because it'll just give a much better volume of oil, you know, through the trans. So that's like a standard rebuild procedure. And another thing that I like to look at, which can also cause problems with the converter, is this bypass valve. You want to make sure that this valve is not stuck with debris, you know, from something breaking apart, or the clutch, maybe the converter clutch coming apart. And you want to make sure that this ball here is springy. which it feels okay. So just a couple of tips on this 42 RLE. All right, real quick, here's your input drum. And here you have on the top, you have your reverse clutch. In the middle, you have your overdrive and your underdrive clutch. So I guess that's really about it for this 42 RLE. The main reason for it, I just wanted to share with you guys this tool that I got. I bought it a while back, but this is the first time that I used it, was just now, because I haven't had any 42 RLEs, but it's a really great tool. And if you work on these, it makes life, to me, makes life a lot easier from how I used to go about getting these shafts out. I mean, a couple times we would even have to put get the torches out and put some heat on it to try to get this thing to move. But that tool makes life much easier. I think it's a great tool, and if you work on these, I highly recommend that you get it. All right, just a couple of things on this 42 RLE. I got this thing all torn down. Of course, I don't see too much with it. You know, we could have an issue in the converter itself. But a couple of things that I did find, which really shouldn't be related to a 740 code, is when I was breaking the unit down, this is the pressure plate that is in between the 2/4 clutch and the low reverse clutch. Low reverse on the bottom, 2/4 clutch on the top. This is right in the center. And this snap ring was broken. All right, so when replacing this snap ring, and you go to order the snap ring, you're gonna get everything together as a set. All right, you can't really just find the snap ring, because these are different thicknesses, and put this in over the plate, because once this plate is in, there's also a thin snap ring on the bottom, which is this one. All right, and then so this is gonna sit like that, and then this one goes on top, and this can't have any up and down play. So pretty much what you have to do is measure the thickness of this plate. This is about 240 thousandths, and you can order it that way, and then when you get the plate, you're going to get a snap ring as well. So just make sure you keep this together as a set. That's the way it's sold. You know, that goes for the 42 RLE, the 604, the 606, you know, all like that. You know, I was doing a 62 TE, the 6-speed, and I think that is all pretty much sold separately. But again, you still want to be very careful, because it'll throw your clearances off and the transmission is not going to work right. All right, here's a shot of that big end nut that I took off. These gets replaced every overhaul I do. They're just a couple of bucks, and it's definitely a good idea to replace these. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is these are the two hubs in the input drum here, and these bushings in here, you know, I got some side-to-side movement here, and with the side-to-side movement, it could have you know, like premature failure on your overdrive clutch. So this is two bushings in here. So, you know, pretty much you can either buy another hub, like a new aftermarket hub, or Sonics makes a one-piece bushing. And you gotta, there's actually three different kinds of these bushings. There's the early, the late, and the late oversized. And what you do is you measure with your micrometer the width of this right here. You can also see where you know, they show you pictures of feed holes and bleed holes, lube holes, and measure the thickness, and then they have a chart of which one to use. So this is a one-piece bushing that I'm going to knock these two out. I'm going to press this one in. Got to make sure you line the hole up with this hole, and then you put it on here, and you have absolutely no play at all. So just a couple of things I did want to mention on this 42 RLE. All right, once again, thanks for watching.